The ship landed on Station Viewer 7 on a cold morning. Danny Cole stepped out and looked around. He was 22 years old, from a small town in Nebraska, and he was very far from home. The space station was huge. Lights of every color filled the corridors. Strange sounds came from every direction. And everywhere Danny looked, he saw aliens. Real aliens. Creatures he had only seen in pictures before. Danny was the first human exchange student at the Galactic Integration Academy. He had won a special contest back on Earth. The prize was 1 year of study among the stars. It sounded like a dream come true, but dreams can be strange when they become real. The first thing Danny noticed was how the other students looked at him. They did not look at him with curiosity. They looked at him with fear. A group of Volante students moved away when he walked past them. The Volante were beautiful creatures. Their bodies were made of living crystal that changed color with their moods. Right now, their crystals were turning gray. Gray meant fear. Danny tried to smile at them. They moved away faster. A Morvathi student floated in a water tank nearby. The Morvathi looked like Earth octopuses, but smarter. They talked using lights that came from their skin. When Danny got close, the Morvathi turned off all its lights. It was hiding from him. Even the Crethani, a species of tall lizard people with sharp teeth and claws, seemed nervous around Danny. One of them actually stepped behind a column when Danny walked by. Danny did not understand. He was just a regular guy. He liked video games and pizza and watching old movies. He was not scary at all. His advisor was an old Volante named Instructor Selveth. Selveth's crystals were old and gray from age, not fear. He had seen many things in his long life. He met Danny in a small office filled with floating screens. "Welcome to the Academy, young Cole," Selveth said. His voice sounded like wind chimes. "Thank you," Danny said. "But can I ask you something? Why is everyone afraid of me?" Selveth made a sound that might have been a sigh. "Sit down, please. This will take some time to explain." Danny sat in a chair that was too small for him. Everything in the station was too small for him. Humans were bigger than most species in the galaxy. "Your planet," Selveth began, "is classified as a Category 9 death world. Do you know what that means?" Danny shook his head. "It means Earth is one of the most dangerous places in the known galaxy. The temperature on your world changes by over 100 degrees between seasons. You have storms that can destroy entire cities. Your oceans are filled with creatures that eat each other. Your land has animals with poison in their teeth and claws that can tear metal." "I mean, yeah, but that is just normal," Danny said. "Normal," Selveth repeated. "That word says everything. What is normal to you is a nightmare to everyone else. Most species in the galaxy come from peaceful worlds. Worlds where the weather is calm. Worlds where the animals are gentle. Worlds where survival is easy. Earth is not like that. No, Earth is not like that at all." Selveth's crystals flickered with something Danny could not read. "And you are a product of that world. Your body is built to survive things that would kill any other species. Your bones are dense. Your muscles are strong. Your immune system is aggressive. You can heal from wounds that would be fatal to a Volante or a Morvathi. You are, in the simplest terms, a predator from a world of predators. And everyone here knows it." Danny sat quietly for a moment. He had never thought about Earth that way. To him, it was just home. Yes, there were dangerous things there. Hurricanes and earthquakes and sharks and bears. But there were also beautiful things. Sunsets and forests and oceans and mountains. "I'm not going to hurt anyone," Danny said finally. "I believe you," Selveth replied. "The belief is not the same as instinct. When a Volante sees you, their body tells them to run. When a Marvasi sees you, their body tells them to hide. It is not personal. It is biology. So, what do I do? Be patient. Be kind. Show them that you are more than your world made you. It will take time, but they will learn. Danny nodded. He could do that. He was good at being patient. The first few weeks were hard. Danny went to his classes and did his work. He tried to talk to other students, but most of them would not talk back. He ate alone in the cafeteria. He studied alone in the library. He slept alone in his small room. But slowly, things began to change. It started in xenobiology class. The professor was a Morvathi named Luminar Guess. Guess taught from a water tank at the front of the room. One day, Guess asked Danny to give a presentation about human biology. Danny stood in front of the class. 47 students from 12 species watched him. Some of them had protective barriers up. Others sat as far away as possible. So, humans are what you call persistence predators. Danny began. We are not the fastest animals on Earth. We are not the strongest. But we can keep going longer than almost anything else. We just follow our prey until it gets tired and falls down. A Volanthi in the front row made a clicking sound. It was the sound of fear. We also sweat, Danny continued. That is how we cool down our bodies. It means we can run for hours without getting too hot. You leak fluid when you exercise, Guess said. And this is normal for your species. Yes, very normal. Danny looked around the room. Everyone was staring at him like he was a monster. We also heal very fast. If we break a bone, it grows back together. If we cut ourselves, the skin closes up. We can even regrow parts of our liver if we have to. A Marvadi student in the middle of the room suddenly went dark. It had fainted. Danny decided to end his presentation early. After class, 3 students came up to him. There was Kelsey, a young Volanthi female with crystals that shimmered pink and blue. There was Vorath, a Krethami male whose scales were dark green. And there was Timol, a Marvathi who used a translation device to speak. We wanted to say sorry, Kelsey said, for how everyone acted. Your presentation was interesting. Scary, Vorath corrected. But interesting. Thank you, Danny said. I know I'm strange here. You are very strange, Timol's translator said. But we would like to know you better, if you want. Danny smiled. It was the first real smile he had made since coming to the station. I would like that very much, he said. And so Danny made his first friends among the stars. He did not know that soon, these friendships would be tested in ways none of them could imagine. He did not know that danger was coming. He did not know that everything was about to change. But for now, he was just happy to not be alone anymore. 3 weeks before everything changed, Danny started to notice strange things. It began with the guards. The station had always had security guards, but they were usually relaxed. They would stand at their posts and chat with students. They would smile and wave when people walked by. But now they were different. Now they stood stiff and straight. Now they watched everyone with careful eyes. Now they carried bigger weapons. Danny mentioned this to his friends one evening. They were sitting in the observation deck, watching ships come and go from the station. The stars outside were bright and beautiful. I have noticed it too, Vorath said. His scales moved in a way that meant he was worried. The guards are acting like something bad is going to happen. There are more of them now, Kelsey added. Her crystals were dim, which meant she was thinking hard. And they are checking everyone more carefully at the doors. Something is wrong, Timol's translator said. I have been watching the station's communications. There are many messages that are hidden. Secret messages that only the officers can read. Danny frowned. Do you think we are in danger? I do not know, Vorath admitted. But I do not like it. The days went by, and things got worse. Parts of the station were closed off. The official reason was repairs, but Danny did not believe it. He saw the way the guards looked at those sealed doors. They were not guarding broken pipes. They were guarding something else. Some of the teachers started acting strange too. They would stop in the middle of lessons and stare at nothing. They would jump when they heard loud sounds. They would look at the doors like they expected something terrible to walk through them. Danny tried to ask questions, but no one would give him answers. The station was keeping secrets. 1 week before the attack, something happened that scared Danny more than anything else. He was walking back to his room after a late class. The corridors were mostly empty. Most students were in their rooms, sleeping or studying. Danny was tired and thinking about his bed. Then someone grabbed his arm. Danny spun around, his heart beating fast. A Volante stood behind him. The alien was old, with gray crystals that looked cracked and worn. They wore the uniform of station security. "Human," the Volante said. Their voice was quick and quiet. "You are Danny Cole." "Yes," Danny said. "Who are you?" The security officer looked around to make sure no one was listening. Then they spoke very fast. "You need to leave. Take your friends and go. There is a transport ship leaving for the Outer Rim in 3 days. Be on it." "What? Why?" "Because something bad is coming. Something very bad. And you are the only one in this academy who might survive it." Danny felt cold fear run through his body. "What do you mean? What is coming?" But the officer was already walking away. They disappeared around a corner and were gone. Danny tried to find them later. He searched for hours. He asked the other guards if they knew the old Volante. No one did. It was like the officer had never existed. That night, Danny told his friends what had happened. They gathered in his small room. 4 different species crowded together and a spaceman for one. "This is very bad," Kelsey said. Her crystals were flickering with fear. "Someone warned you to leave, but they would not say why. It could be a trick," Laura suggested. "Someone trying to make you scared. Trying to make you run away. But why?" Timmel asked. "Danny is just a student. What would anyone gain from making him leave?" "Maybe it has nothing to do with me," Danny said. "Maybe they were just being kind. Trying to save someone because they could not save everyone." They talked late into the night. They tried to put the pieces together. The extra guards. The secret messages. The sealed corridors. The scared teachers. The mysterious warning. Nothing made sense. But something was clearly wrong. Danny made a decision. He was not going to leave. His friends were here. His studies were here. He could not just run away because a stranger told him to, but he could be ready. The next day, Danny went to the station shops. He bought some things that made the shopkeepers look at him strangely. A small emergency kit with medicine and bandages. A light that worked without power. Some strong rope. A small knife meant for cutting things. These were normal things on Earth. Every camper and hiker had stuff like this. But in the galaxy, most species did not think about survival the way humans did. They did not prepare for disasters. They trusted that everything would be fine. Danny did not trust anything anymore. "What is all that for?" Vorath asked when he saw Danny's supplies. "Just being careful," Danny said. "On Earth we have a saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst." "That is a strange way to live," Kelsey said. "Maybe, but it has kept my species alive for a long time." 3 days later, the Academy announced a special event. There would be a big assembly in the main auditorium. All students and staff had to attend. No exceptions. The assembly was about peace and friendship between species. Important people from the Galactic Council would speak. There would be talks about how wonderful the future would be. Danny did not care about the speeches. He cared about the fact that everyone in the Academy would be in one room at the same time. If someone wanted to hurt a lot of people, this would be the perfect chance. He brought his emergency kit with him. He hid the knife in his pocket. His friends thought he was being paranoid. Maybe he was. But humans from Deathworlds learned to trust their feelings. And right now, Danny's feelings were screaming at him that something was very wrong. The auditorium was huge. It had special areas for every species. The Volanthi sat in chambers that made their crystals sing. The Morvathi floated in water tanks. The Krethni perched on high platforms, where they could watch everything. Danny sat in the general seating area with his friends. Hundreds of students filled the room. Teachers and staff were there too. Guards stood at every door. The speeches began. A senior diplomat from the Galactic Council talked about how great everything was. Danny barely listened. He was too busy watching. He watched the guards. They were tense. Their hands were near their weapons. Their eyes were moving constantly. He watched the doors. They were sealed. No one was getting in or out. He watched the other students. Most of them looked bored. Some looked worried. A few looked as scared as Danny felt. Then Danny noticed something strange. One guard near the back of the room was acting different from the others. He was not watching the crowd. He was watching a door that should have been locked. Danny's heart started beating faster. His skin felt cold. His muscles got tight. This was the feeling. The old feeling that humans had carried for millions of years. The feeling that a predator was near. The feeling that death was close. Something was about to happen. Danny leaned close to his friends. "When I say run," he whispered, "run toward the side wall. Do not ask questions. Just run." "Danny, what are you talking about?" Kelsey asked. But before Danny could answer, the lights went out. For 1 second, there was only darkness. Complete and total darkness. Then the emergency lights came on, filling everything with a dim red glow. And then the screaming started. The killer came through the main door like a shadow made of death. His name was Seveth Carr, but Danny did not know that. All Danny knew was that a Volanthi with black crystals was shooting at everyone and everything. The guards at the door fell first. Then the guards at the sides. Then people started dying. The screams were everywhere. Students ran in every direction. They pushed and shoved and climbed over each other. They tried to reach the exits, but the doors were locked. The emergency system had sealed everything shut. They were trapped. Danny grabbed Kelsey and pulled her down behind a row of seats. Voreth dropped beside them. Tamil's water tank rolled into cover nearby. What is happening? Kelsey's crystals were white with terror. "Someone is attacking us," Danny said. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. "Stay down. Stay quiet." More shots rang out. More screams followed. Danny lifted his head just enough to see over the seats. The killer was moving through the auditorium with terrible speed. He was not like a normal Volanthi. His movements were too fast, too smooth. His black crystals did not glow like normal crystals. They seemed to eat the light around them. Danny understood. This was not a natural Volanthi. This was someone who had been changed, modified, turned into a weapon. And in the killer's hands, besides his guns, there was something else. A small device attached to his chest. It had blinking lights and wires. A bomb. "He has explosives," Danny whispered. "If he gets to the middle of the room, he can kill everyone at once. What do we do?" Voreth asked. The Krethini's predator instincts were fighting with his fear. He wanted to attack, but he knew he could not win. Danny looked around. The guards were dead or dying. No help was coming. The doors were sealed. There was nowhere to run. Someone had to stop the killer. Someone had to do something. Danny thought about his life. He thought about his home. He thought about his parents, who were so far away they would not even know he was dead until days later. He thought about everything he had wanted to do and see and be. Then he thought about the hundreds of students in this room. Young people from a dozen worlds. People with dreams and hopes and families who loved them. People who would die if nobody did anything. Danny made a choice. Stay here, he told his friends. Protect each other. Danny, no, Kelsey said. Her crystals turned dark with fear. You cannot fight that thing. It will kill you. Maybe, Danny said. But I have to try. He did not wait for them to argue. He moved before his fear could stop him. Danny had never been in a real fight before. He had never been trained as a soldier. But he was human, and that meant something. His body changed as he moved. Chemicals flooded his blood. His heart beat faster. His muscles got stronger. His senses became sharper. Fear became focus. Panic became purpose. This was what millions of years of evolution had made him for. Not peace. Not comfort. Survival. Danny grabbed a broken piece of metal from the floor. It was not a weapon, but it was something. He started moving toward the killer. He stayed low. He used the seats as cover. He moved slowly, carefully, making no sound. His bare feet were silent on the floor. His breathing was controlled and quiet. The killer did not see him. The killer was too busy shooting at students who were trying to hide. Too busy enjoying the fear and the pain and the death. Danny got closer. 20 steps away. 15. 10. The killer stopped moving. His head turned slightly, like he heard something. Like he felt something. Danny did not wait. He threw the piece of metal at the killer's face and ran. The metal hit the killer in the eye. It was not enough to hurt him badly, but it was enough to make him flinch. Enough to make him miss 1 second. 1 second was all Danny needed. He hit the killer with all his weight. They crashed together and fell to the floor. The killer's weapons went flying. His body hit the ground hard. Danny did not stop. He could not stop. He kept hitting, kept fighting, kept moving. The killer was faster than Danny, stronger than Danny. His modified body was built for combat in ways that Danny could not match. He threw Danny off like Danny was a child. Danny hit the floor. Pain exploded through his body. He felt something crack in his chest. A rib, maybe 2. But he got up. The killer stared at him. There was something like surprise in those black crystals. You should have run, the killer said. His voice was like grinding stones. Probably, Danny agreed. Blood was dripping from a cut on his head. But running is not really my style. They came together again. The killer was trying to get to the bomb on his chest, trying to activate it. Danny was trying to stop him. They fought with fists and feet and teeth and claws. Danny took hits that would have killed a Volante. A blow to his ribs that made everything go white with pain. A slash across his arm that opened his flesh to the bone. A kick to his leg that should have shattered it. But he kept fighting. This was the human difference. Not speed. Not strength. Not skill. Will. Danny's ancestors had hunted animals 10 times their size by chasing them until they collapsed. They had survived ice ages and plagues and wars that killed millions. They had fallen down again and again, and they had always gotten back up. Danny got back up. Blood was everywhere now. His blood. The killer's strange ichor. It made the floor slippery. It made everything harder. But Danny did not stop. He got his hands on the bomb. The killer screamed and tried to activate it. Danny pulled. Pulled with everything he had. With every bit of strength his Deathworld body could give him. The straps holding the bomb broke. The device fell to the floor and slid away. Its lights flickered and went dark. Danny did not know if he had broken it or just disconnected it. He did not care. It was away from the crowd. That was what mattered. The killer roared with rage. He pulled a knife from somewhere. A crystal blade that hummed with energy. I will kill you slowly, the killer promised. "I will make you scream." Danny could barely stand. His body was broken in a dozen places. His vision was going dark at the edges. He was dying. He knew he was dying, but he was not dead yet. "You can try," Danny said. They came together one last time. The knife cut deep into Danny's side. He felt it go in, felt it scrape against something inside him. The pain was beyond anything he had ever known. But at the same time, Danny got his hands around the killer's throat. Not his real throat. The joint where the Valanthe's head connected to his body. The weak point that all the crystals in the world could not protect. Got Danny squeezed. Thought the killer dropped the knife and grabbed Danny's arms. Tried to pull them away. But Danny had locked his grip. His fingers were like iron. His arms were like steel cables. This was persistence. This was endurance. This was a human who refused to let go. The killer's black crystals started to crack. His movements became weaker. His struggles became slower. Danny squeezed harder. Everything went gray. Then white. Then black. The last thing Danny heard was the sound of crystal breaking. The last thing he felt was his enemy falling still. Then there was nothing at all. The rescue teams found Danny lying next to the killer's body. The Volante assassin was dead. His black crystals were shattered. His modified body was broken beyond repair. He would never hurt anyone again. Danny was barely alive. "The human is still breathing," one of the rescue workers shouted. "Get medical here now." "He is dying. He cannot still be alive," another worker said. They looked at all the blood on the floor, at the wounds covering Danny's body. Nothing should be alive after losing that much blood. But Danny's heart was still beating. Slow and weak, but beating. They rushed into the medical bay. Doctors from 6 different species worked to save him. They had never treated a human before. They did not understand how his body worked. They had to look things up in databases while they operated. Every time they fixed one problem, another appeared. His broken ribs had punctured something inside. The knife wound in his side had cut important organs. He had lost so much blood that most species would have died 3 times over. But Danny's body refused to quit. His immune system, the aggressive human defense system that had evolved to fight everything from tiny germs to huge parasites, fought alongside the doctors. His heart, built to pump blood even under extreme stress, kept working. His cells, designed to repair damage that would kill other creatures, started the slow work of healing. For 3 days, Danny floated between life and death. The doctors did not know if he would survive. They did not know if his brain had been damaged. They did not know anything except that this human was fighting harder than anyone they had ever seen. His friends kept watch outside the medical bay. They would not leave. They would not eat. They would not rest. Kelsey's crystals grew so dim from stress that other Volante worried she was dying. Voreth stopped eating, and his body started to consume itself. Timmel's lights flickered so badly that other Morphothi could not understand her, but they stayed. They waited. They hoped. On the 4th day, Danny opened his eyes. "Hey," he said. His voice was barely a whisper. "Did we win?" Kelsey burst into tears. The Lanthe tears were tiny crystals that fell from their eyes like diamonds. The floor around her sparkled with them. "Yes," she said. "You won. You saved everyone." The news of what happened spread across the galaxy. Within hours, every major news network was talking about the human exchange student who had stopped a terrorist attack. The footage from the auditorium cameras went everywhere. Billions of beings watched a human fight a modified super soldier and win. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know about humans. The Galactic Council demanded reports about Earth. Scientists asked permission to study human bodies. Military leaders wondered if human soldiers could join galactic defense forces. and on Station Velar 7. The survivors of the attack spoke Danny's name like it was something holy. Danny slept through most of it. His body needed rest to heal. And heal it did, with a speed that amazed his doctors. Bones that should have taken months to fix started joining back together in weeks. Wounds that should have left permanent damage began to close. Even his internal organs, cut and bruised and broken, started to repair themselves. "This is not possible," one doctor said. "No species heals this fast." "Humans do," another doctor replied. "It is in their records. They can survive things that would kill anyone else. And then they get better." When Danny was finally awake enough to have visitors, he found his room filled with messages. Gifts and letters and video recordings from people he had never met. Diplomats thanked him. Scientists congratulated him. Ordinary people told him he was a hero. Danny did not feel like a hero. He felt tired and sore and confused. His friends came to see him every day. They brought him food from the cafeteria and news from the academy. They told him jokes and stories and anything else that might make him smile. One day, Varath asked the question that had been bothering all of them. "Why did you do it? You could have escaped. The maintenance door was right there. You could have saved yourself." Danny thought about it. It was a question he had asked himself during the long hours of recovery. "I could not just watch people die," he finally said. "Not when I could do something about it." "But you almost died yourself." "Yeah, but they would have definitely died if I did nothing. At least my way, there was a chance." "That is not logical," Timmel said through her translator. "The chances of you winning were very small. You should have calculated the odds and made the smart choice." "Humans do not work that way," Danny said. "We do not always make the smart choice. Sometimes we make the right choice, even when it is stupid." "What is the difference?" Kelsey asked. Danny smiled. It hurt his face to smile, but he did it anyway. "The smart choice is the one that keeps you alive. The right choice is the one that lets you live with yourself after." His friends did not fully understand. Their species had not evolved the same way humans had. They had not spent millions of years learning that sometimes the group matters more than the individual. That sometimes you have to risk everything to protect the people around you. But they accepted it. They accepted Danny, strange human ideas and all. The academy reopened 2 weeks after the attack. Security was completely changed. New guards, new systems, new rules. The fear from that day was still fresh, but life continued. It always does. Danny came back to class a month later. His body was still healing, but he could not stand lying in bed anymore. His doctors protested. His friends worried. But Danny was stubborn in that human way. His first day back was strange. Students who had avoided him before now watched him with something new in their eyes. Not fear, respect. Some came to thank him. Others just nodded as he walked by. A few kept their distance, but it was different now. They were not afraid of what he might do. They were amazed by what he had done. Professor Guess asked Danny to speak to the xenobiology class again. Not about human bodies this time. About human minds. About why humans would risk death for strangers. Danny stood before the class. His scars were visible. His movements were still stiff and painful. But his voice was strong. "I am not special," he began. "I am just a regular person from a regular place. I did what any human would do. But why?" A Crethany student asked. "Why would any human do that?" Danny took a moment to find the right words. "On Earth, everything is dangerous. The weather can kill you. The animals can kill you. Even the tiny things you cannot see can kill you. So humans learn to stick together. We protect each other because alone, we die. Together, we survive." "But these were not your people," the student said. "We are not humans. Why would you die for us?" "Because you are still people, Danny said simply. Different shapes, different worlds, different everything. But still people. And people should not die when someone can save them. The room was quiet. Many of the students were thinking about his words, trying to understand this strange human idea. You are saying, a Volante student said slowly, that humans care about everyone, not just other humans. We try to, Danny said. We do not always succeed. We have done terrible things to each other throughout history. But the best of us try to be better. Try to see everyone as worth saving. That is a beautiful idea, Kelsey said from her seat. Her crystals were glowing warm colors. It is also a dangerous idea, Vareth added. If you care about everyone, you will always be fighting. Always be risking yourself. Yeah, Danny agreed. That is the price. But I think it is worth it. After class, Vareth walked with Danny back to his room. I was afraid that day, the Krithani admitted. When the killer came, I wanted to hide, to survive. That is what my instincts told me to do. That is natural, Danny said. Fear keeps you alive. But I did not hide. Because you did not hide. Because you ran toward the danger instead of away from it. Voreth's scales rippled with emotion. Your courage became my courage. You gave it to me. Danny did not know what to say. He had never thought of himself as brave. That is what humans do not understand about themselves, Vareth continued. Your choices change others. You changed me that day. You changed everyone who saw what you did. One human at a time, Danny said quietly. One human at a time, Vareth agreed. 6 months after the attack, the Galactic Council met to discuss the human question. For many years, humans had been a small curiosity in the galaxy, a young species from a dangerous planet. They had only one star system. They were primitive by galactic standards. Most species thought they were too violent and too risky to deal with. The attack on the Integration Academy changed everything. Danny Cole was not invited to the council meeting, but his story was told anyway. Representatives from many species described what the human had done. Scientists presented reports about human bodies and human minds. Diplomats argued about what it all meant. Some said humans were too dangerous. If one human could kill a modified super soldier, what could an army of humans do? They said Earth should be isolated, kept away from the rest of the galaxy. Too risky to include. Others said the opposite. Humans were not just dangerous. They were valuable. They came from a hard world, but chose to be kind. They had violence in their nature, but also art and science and love. They understood fighting but did not worship it. The debate lasted for weeks. In the end, the moderates won. Humans would be welcomed into the galactic community. Slowly and carefully, but welcomed. More exchange programs. Better diplomatic relations. Increased trade. The galaxy would learn to live with the Deathworlders. Danny heard about the decision while sitting with his friends in the observation deck. Ships moved through the stars outside. The universe continued its endless dance. They are going to study us like animals, Danny said. He was not upset about it, just stating a fact. Perhaps, Kelsey agreed. But they will also learn from you. From us. From our friendship. The galaxy is changing, Voreth said. Humans are part of that change now. Whether it is good or bad, we will see. It is both, Timmel added through her translator. All big changes are both good and bad. The question is what you do with the chance. Danny looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning through space. His home, his people, his species, about to take its first real steps into a universe that had watched them with fear for so long. I think we will be okay, Danny said. We have survived worse. Have you? Kelsey asked. Danny smiled. We survived ourselves. Trust me, That was the hard part. The school year ended with a ceremony. They honored the victims of the attack and the people who had helped. Danny was asked to speak. He did not want to. He had never liked being the center of attention, but some things had to be done whether you wanted to or not. He stood before a crowd of students and teachers and important visitors. So many species, so many faces, so many lives that had been touched by what happened that day. I am not a hero, Danny said. I am just a guy from Nebraska who got lucky. The real heroes are the ones who helped others escape. The medical teams who worked for days. The friends who never gave up on each other. He paused and looked at all the faces watching him. Humans are not special. We are just different. We come from a world that taught us to never stop fighting. Never stop adapting. Never stop caring about each other. Those lessons got me through the worst day of my life. I hope they can help us all through whatever comes next. Being part of a community is not about being the strongest or the smartest. It is about being there when it matters. It is about choosing to help even when running would be easier. That is not a human trait. It is a choice. And anyone from any world can make that choice. He stepped down from the stage. The crowd was applauding. His friends were waiting for him. That was beautiful, Kelsey said. Her crystals glowed with warm colors. It was adequate, Vorev said. From him, that was high praise. It was very human, Timel observed. Danny laughed. It was the first real laugh he had managed in months. Yeah, I guess it was. They left the ceremony together. 4 friends from 4 different worlds. Walking into a future that none of them could predict. The galaxy was changing around them. Old fears were becoming new possibilities. The walls between species were starting to fall dot, and somewhere in that change was proof that Danny had been right. Courage was contagious. Choices mattered. One person could make a difference, not because they were special, but because they tried. 10 years later, Danny Cole returned to the Integration Academy. He was older now. His hair had some gray in it. His body still carried the marks of that fight long ago. But his eyes were sharp, and his voice was strong. He came as a guest teacher. His subject was resilience. The ability to take damage and keep going. The choice to help others, even when it costs you everything. After his talk, a young human student came to see him. Her name was Maya. She reminded Danny of himself at that age. Eager and uncertain and trying to find her place in a big universe. How do you do it? She asked. How do you stay brave when everything is so scary? Danny thought about the question. He had asked it himself many times over the years. You do not stop being scared, he told her. You just decide that some things are worth being scared for. And then you do them anyway. Is it really that simple? No. It is the hardest thing in the world. But that is what makes it matter. Maya nodded slowly. She stood up straighter, lifted her chin. It was a very human gesture. Thank you, she said. I think I understand. Good. Now go out there and prove it. She smiled and walked away, ready to write her own story among the stars. Danny watched her go. He felt hope for the future, hope for his species, hope for the galaxy doc, because that was what humans did. They hoped. They struggled. They fell down and got back up dot, and sometimes, against all odds, they made the universe a little bit better than they found it. The end.